Without further ado, this is Bryson Jones, the high-def cowboy.
The idea of CatDV as a product is, I like to think of it, especially with guys like you who are a pretty technical crew. I know some of you guys, and I'm hearing the questions, and so it's good to know this is not post-production 101. So the big thing for me with CatDV was it gave editors and post-production soups and VFX supervisors and even producers a set of tools to work with. So instead of thinking about it as an app, and it's always shown as an app. Guys are like, look at this app and look what it does. I like to think about it as I want you tonight to see and be thinking about what you can do with it, because it's a really customizable thing. I compare it to FileMaker Pro or to Excel. You get a spreadsheet, it doesn't really make much sense. You start to put things in it, and you can run your whole budget for a whole show in Excel. And CatDV is really the same way. And that's part of the reason that I wanted to shoot this tonight. By the way, you've all consented to be shot here. So let me know if you don't want to be shot. The Adobe guy will paint you out. And pretty much automatic. With the crazy automatic robots that he just showed us, which is unbelievable. And actually tonight, the theme tonight should be called Rise of the Machines, because a lot of what we're both talking about is taking those really mundane, repetitive tasks that we all hate, or just tasks that you simply can't do as a human being, and automating them. And that's really what excited me about this was I found CatDV 2.5, 3 years ago. A client of mine said, I need to find this. And I started looking around, and a buddy of mine literally whispered to me, you should check out CatDV. I think it might do what you want. And he worked for a competing company. And so literally I checked it out and was just blown away. I got it right away, but I have to say that it took a long time to actually get my head around what I would do with it. I saw what you could do, but the biggest thing about it is that, and that's why integration's a big deal. Final Cut Server's the same way. Any asset manager, we talk about, it's like asset management is not for the weak of heart, because anytime you get into it, it's an undertaking. What we have found is that we can take CatDV and very quickly get to a base functionality, which a lot of systems you can't do, and they take a lot of setup. So I'm going to run you through, I'm going to show you the basic parts of CatDV, which first idea is this, just because it is a little bit of a mixed crowd. I'm going to take it back to sort of Asset Management 101 and give you an idea about sort of a lot of the terms that people use and don't really get explained too well. Everybody talks about metadata. Literally, the definition of metadata is data about the data. And the example that I talk about all the time is like, we always had metadata. It was just really bad and hard to translate to other people. We had tapes, and that tape, the only metadata that we had that really went from thing to thing was time code. You could take the tape on a camera, and that time code went to the tape, and that time code then went into my editor, and I could move that along. But all the name, any information about it, other than the guy who picked up the tape and said, it's a beta, which back then was really great because you could hold it and go, this is DV, this is beta. You could figure it out. Now we get these files. We don't know what they are. You just get dropped into your box. You got to figure out what's going on. There's some guys here tonight that have that in spades, and you get literally hundreds of formats. So with that, the idea that if we could take metadata and move that between platforms, it would be very, very powerful. A lot of companies don't want you to do that. And so interestingly enough, CatDV, for me, became sort of a Rosetta Stone to take one system and talk to another. And so we find that we use it in a lot of places just to sort of patch holes in their workflow. Another thing that's overused, and I literally could go, every year at NAB, I just wince at the amount of times people say workflow. And the thing I like to say about workflow is even if you don't know you have one, you have one. And it may be horrible, but something comes into your shop, it gets used, it gets put somewhere for a while, then it gets put out somewhere else and sent somewhere else. You have a workflow. It may just be super inefficient. The idea is that if we can translate and take this metadata along that path, we make our workflow much smoother. And that, for me, are the way these two things tie together. CatDV is a set of applications, really. And it started as a way to catalog DV. And it grew into this beautiful production and post-production monster. And so the app now consists of sort of a collection. There's the client. We're going to talk about that. That's what's on the screen right now. The client can connect up to a MySQL server called CatDV Server, and that allows you then to take the catalogs that you create in a client and search those and manipulate those. There's an app called the Worker, and the Worker the best named app ever, does things. And it speaks to the client. It also speaks to the server and can also be aware of your surroundings with watch folders and things like that. And then we have sort of an output side, which is the HTML publisher, which is often maligned and misunderstood. And then we have the super sexy web client, which is amazing and wonderful and powerful. I'm going to jump right into the client right now and take this. I'm going to have to, by the way, as through the evening, keep refreshing my internet connection. Hollywood seems to want to throw me off. But basically, the main idea is tonight is that as we move through this, we're going to move through really quickly so we don't put everyone to sleep. But don't become overwhelmed. Most people use 5% of this program. It's an outrageous set of tools. But you may see something you're like, you know, that I could use. When we started using this program, we were very basic functions, very basic things. But there are a lot of really powerful things you can do with it. I really, like I said, I want to start you thinking, and that's the idea. Because creative people can make pretty amazing things out of this set of tools. So we come up with the client. It's a Java client. It runs in Mac or PC. A pretty powerful little guy just in that, because you can take metadata and view it on Macs or PCs and translate that across platforms. So that helps out right off the bat. The first thing we do, your most basic idea of CatDV is let's jump in here and grab something off my powerful Mac Mini SAN. By the way, I'm running the entire server, client, worker, and all off of a Mini here, and not even a too beefy Mini. Let's grab some quick times out of here. Some footage from my friends VAS Entertainment in the back, who have graciously provided me with some beautiful footage of people doing crazy things. We've imported clips. Notice that went really quickly. We didn't actually move anything. We just pointed. You guys are used to nonlinear editing, Final Cut. We've just pointed to the path. We've extracted some thumbnails. And we also have collected a lot of QuickTime metadata already. We already know the format of the audio, the frame rates, all of these things. And if you notice up here in the headings, you've got metadata in there for Panasonic. We have Red Camera metadata. We have XDCam. So pretty much anything. It's funny, Adobe was talking about the XMP. We're working right now to be able to work with and pass the XMP data around as well. So we know where it is. We know what size it is. We know all these things for free. And ironically, if you're an assistant editor or a guy that's got to manage a bunch of media, the program is pretty powerful if you just didn't do anything else but that. Because what you can do is you can come over into here and group things in technical ways. For instance, I can come in here and go in by frame rate, and I can select everything that's 24. I can select everything that's 25. Everything is 2997. I can then select those things and then move them, delete them, or copy them. That thing alone right there, being able to do that, huge thing in any shop if you get a file. Because how many times you get a bunch of files, you drop them into your editor, you're going, wow, things aren't really playing well. Oh, thanks. Somebody threw me 3 HD clips in the middle of an SD project. Helps you sort of, again, kind of a Rosetta Stone to figure out what you've got. I'm going to do right now what I call the ShamWow demo, and then we're going to get back into kind of what's going on. So I've dragged some clips in here. I can jump into these clips up here in the movie window. I can mark an in and out on this guy. I can come up here. I can mark another in and an out on there. JKL editing functions all work. I can take that in and out. I drag it over here into my Matlock Final Cut Pro project because I like Matlock. Double click it. My ins and outs are there, ready to go in Final Cut. So basically what we've done is we've come in, brought in clips, we've tagged and made some marks. We can add metadata and then immediately drag that through what we call the magic door into Final Cut Pro. And there it is.